It's me, Kevin Smith, Silent Bob, and all those terrible Jay and Silent Bob type pictures, man. You're listening to Drop the Mic, the only podcast that I listen to that I'm not a part of. Every podcast I listen to, I usually talk on it, but not fucking Drop the Mic. That's where I'm like, let me hear what the boys have to say. And now, we drop the mic.
This party tonight, this warehouse thing.
Some sort of rave thing.
Is this gonna be cool?
Yeah, I guess.
Does the British guy still work here?
We went to Vegas for the weekend.
The British guy usually hooks us up.
Let me see what I can do. Give me a number.
I can't believe you're selling allergy medicine.
Oh, we're out of that. We're down to chewable aspirin.
I think I feel something.
It's really smooth, isn't it?
What do you want for Christmas, Claire?
We just kissed a little, okay?
Hello? He's a drug dealer.
He's a good guy.
Oh, he's the good drug dealer.
Listen, I just want to make a deal here. Can we make a deal?
Are you Monty Hall?
Now watch what I do with his wrist. Head down like that, boom. You know, I watch all these cop shows, and they never do it right. Ever.
Keep it close. There's an extra $10 in it for you. Get in the car.
You stole a car, shot a bouncer, and had sex with 2 women?
So now you're an entrepreneur.
You shouldn't do this, Rana. Just drive.
Well, if you gotta go.
From Doug Lyman, the director of Swingers, Taye Diggs, William Fichtner, Katie Holmes, Breckin Meyer, Jay Moore, Timothy Oliphant, Sarah Polley, Scott Wolf.
You know what I like best about Christmas?
Mistletoe?
The surprises.
When there's nothing to do
So, Zach, would you say you're open to new things?
except what you've done.
Is your British ass happy now?
When you've gone too far to stop.
There's no body, there's no crime. We'll put her in the trunk.
Stop! What? Stop it! What? It's a Miata!
This spring,
Yo, man, I told you my mother's mother was
Your mother's fun. This ain't roots. If you were any less black, you would be clear.
nothing will take you farther.
It's stuck.
Oh. Give me that gun!
Go.
It's all right, I'm okay.
Welcome to our annual Christmas special. You've now tuned into the Drop the Mic podcast, and we are your hosts, Wesley Swanson, and of course, the man with the plan, Chris Pawlak. What's up, dude? How are you?
What's up? I'm doing pretty good. Very, very busy. Our kind of tentative plan for tonight fell through, so that's why we're going in over the phone.
No worries.
Hopefully in person for next week's year-end show.
Oh, yes, that would be great.
Yeah. The week before Christmas is not a great week.
Mm-hmm.
So I think next week will be a lot easier for us to get together in person, and I won't have as much to juggle next week, even though next week is just as busy, but I won't have the time constraints on some days.
All right, dude. And why don't you tell our audience what you decided to name this episode?
TRIPTYCH NOEL.
And this is where we're going to be discussing the 1999 cult classic Christmas flick, Go. But before we dive into the film further, let's get warmed up with some of our usual segments, shall we?
And now for a special news report. Brought to you by Drop the Mic.
All right. Pop culture news. What do you got for us this week?
I got a couple of RIPs I just want to throw out there. First one is just died, maybe 2 weeks ago? Maybe a little bit less than that. I don't write down dates, so apologize for that. But Angelo Badalamenti, he died earlier this month. He's a composer, a frequent collaborator of David Lynch. I think he scored most of his films.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking in my head really quick. I know Blue Velvet, Wild at Heart, Lost Highway, Straight Story, Mulholland Drive, which if you've watched Mulholland Drive recently, or if you remember it, he's got a brief cameo. He's the guy who tastes the espresso in The Office and then spits it out immediately.
Oh, yes.
That's Angelo Badalamenti. He also did the scoring for all the Twin Peaks shows, whether it was the OG show or the film and the revival show. And in addition to his collaborations with David Lynch, he also scored probably the best Nightmare on Elm Street sequel, Dream Warriors.
Oh, yes.
Christmas Vacation, City of Lost Children, The Wicker Man, and one more, Secretary, with James Spader and Maggie Gyllenhaal.
Do you like that movie?
I do like that movie.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah. Wild, but I think Gyllenhaal is fantastic in it, and even Spader is really good.
Yes.
So give a shout out to Angelo Badalamenti. The music for those Lynch films is gorgeous. Mulholland Drive is one of my favorite scores of the Lynch films, and Blue Velvet is pretty great too. So give him a shout. And then also, it's that time of the year where we watch Die Hard on repeat a lot. And you and I have covered it in the past as one of our previous Christmas episodes. But Clarence Gilliard Jr., who plays Theo, the computer guy in the film,
yes,
passed away at the end of November. He was pretty young. He was like in his early to mid-60s. He wasn't that old, which is a bummer. But you can also see him in Top Gun. Then he had a long time... He's a longtime cast member of both Matlock and Walker, Texas Ranger. But he passed away. Give him a shout. Watch Die Hard. It's excellent. I've been watching it a lot since Thanksgiving. And Gilliard's great in it. He's got some pretty quippy lines. I always yell out, "The quarterback is toast." So give him a shout. And then I got one more piece of news. And what did I tell you? I told you I had 2 RIPs and one big fuck you.
Yes.
My last piece of news is fuck you to David Zaslav. He's the president and CEO of Warner Brothers / Warner Brothers Discovery now. And he has been fucking up Warner Brothers ever since. And I certainly don't really have a stake in the Batgirl movie, but it's pretty shitty to have a movie that was a lot of people worked on and was finished, and then just say, yep, we're just going to put it on the shelf and no one's ever going to see it. Thanks.
Use it as a tax write-off, pretty much?
Yeah, pretty much. And kind of deny all the cast members and crew members a chance at, a payday from residuals and, any kind of money that they had coming to them on the back end or points at the box office or something. So that's very shitty. He's also been fucking up HBO Max. Shows that are HBO shows, he's just pulling them off, which is crazy because, an HBO show should be on HBO Max or HBO On Demand. And I was in the middle of rewatching Westworld, and all of a sudden it just disappeared from both Max and my On Demand on cable. So the only way I can watch Westworld now is literally have to buy it. So, there's other shows that they ditched and got rid of and pulled off of their service. And for what? I mean, you already own them. You're now denying people who subscribe to your service or people who subscribe to, HBO on cable. You're denying them the chance to watch these shows. I think they even canceled some shows that had already been renewed and possibly even shot seasons of. So it's nuts. I think he's coming out of Discovery Channel, which is all reality TV.
Yes.
These days, like it's nothing good. It's all shitty reality TV. But I think he's looking for the cheapest option on everything or the cheapest production so he can make the most money. but he's really fucked up Warner Brothers. He's really fucked up HBO Max. I completely understand where Nolan was coming from now, where he says that HBO Max is the shittiest streaming service.
Yeah.
And probably he's happy that he walked away from Warner Brothers.
All right. You left out a big RIP, so I'm wondering if you just haven't heard of the tragedy yet. But Terry Hall of the Specials passed away.
Yes.
Recently.
That's right. I did hear that. I was just listening to the Specials the other day.
Huge bummer. Huge loss for the ska scene, of course. And damn, I just when I heard about it, he was also, I believe, 63 maybe?
Yeah, he wasn't that old either.
Yes. So, man, so sad. Specials. Was the Fun Boy 3. Great musician, great vocalist. So, go listen to the Specials, everybody.
Go listen to the Specials. Listen to the Fun Boy 3 cover of Our Lips Are Sealed.
Yes.
It's awesome.
And some updating of your, I think when we spoke last, you dropped the news that Fede Alvarez was going to be in charge of a new Alien film, correct?
Yep.
So, they just announced that production is going to start early next year on that.
No, I'm kind of excited for that.
But you don't want to be let down, I feel you.
I don't want to be let down. You know, I thought like Ridley Scott going back to it was going to be cool, and it was not.
Anything but.
Yeah, exactly.
But you know who will fight you on that? Emma fucking loves that movie. The newest one, Covenant.
Oh.
She's like, what's so wrong with Covenant? It's good. It's good.
Oh, man. The next time I see Emma,
she's a champion.
Remind us of that. And her and I can have a big discussion. Maybe you should have her on the show and we'll talk Covenant.
Yeah.
And then you could do a point counterpoint. That'll be fun. Tell Emma I would like to do that.
Yeah, I will.
That means I would have to be forced to watch it again, though.
Yeah, no. The trauma is coming back.
The anger I feel like every time I think about that movie.
But Fede Alvarez's new film, they're going to be gearing up to start production in Budapest. That's where.
Okay. Budapest is a good place to shoot.
Yeah.
Well, I wish him the best. I hope it's good. And I get the bad feeling that it's going to be like one of those straight to Hulu because of the Fox thing.
Yeah.
Which sucks, because you're denying me a chance to see cool movies in the theater.
Darren Aronofsky's The Whale just came out. So I'm not sure how you feel about that film, but I'm curious to check it out. I'm a big fan of Aronofsky, and I do like Brendan Fraser, and this is his supposed to be kind of his big comeback. I know he's been doing little things here and there, but
he's been on the TV, like Doom Patrol.
Doom Patrol, yep.
Which that's the only thing I know about that, but I know that he's been doing that. But yeah, like as movie wise. This is kind of a comeback film for him, which is awesome. He was a good actor.
Yeah. Are you going to go try to check it out in the cinema?
I am. Is it playing out here yet?
I believe so. I think it opened up everywhere.
Okay. Well, I'll try to make it a point to see. The next week's stacked. And I think I'm going to try to squeeze in the screening of Babylon first.
Oh, yeah. I hope that's good. I hope it's better than Amsterdam.
We'll talk about Amsterdam next week. But yes, I hope so too.
And now it's time for the weekly recommendations.
I do want to say it's the Christmas season. Do yourself a favor. Jump into some Christmas flicks, especially some Shane Black Christmas flicks. I just rewatched Long Kiss Goodnight last week and rewatched Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. I know that was both episodes we've covered before, and Kiss Kiss Bang Bang was our Christmas episode a few years ago. I think our one before COVID, the last one that we did before the pandemic. But watch those. They're amazing. They're great. They're so much fun. Long Kiss Goodnight, fantastic action. Gina Davis and Samuel Jackson are so fucking fun in it. And Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, Downey and Val Kilmer are magical together. They're so fucking funny. And I highly recommend that. I was just recommending Joel sit down and watch Kiss Kiss Bang Bang again tonight when I was hanging out with him before we did the show, because he said that he hadn't seen that in a while.
I really like that that episode we did was pretty fun from what I remember.
For Kiss Kiss Bang Bang?
Yes.
Both of those episodes that we did are a lot of fun. Because they're just fun movies.
Yeah.
And Shane Black's always had really fun, quippy dialogue. And both of those movies are full of it. And even Kiss Kiss Bang Bang isn't really an action movie, is more of a noir film. Still has like a really great action scene at the end.
Yeah.
So I want to recommend those two. And like I said, jump into the other Shane Black Christmas movies. It's always a good time to watch Lethal Weapon. Nice Guys, check it out. Watch Iron Man 3, the best of the Iron Mans in this man's opinion. Fight Me.
I just have one this week that at least that I can think of, and I've been watching the first season of The White Lotus on HBO Max, and it's a lot of fun, man. It's a really fucking weird ass show, but I'm into it.
That's one of those kind of zeitgeist shows that I haven't watched or gotten into, but it seems like that's a lot of people watch it, and it's like something that's like really dissected in around the pop culture circles.
Yes.
So I know that those seasons aren't long. Maybe I'll jump into them at some point.
Yeah.
I know the second season just ended a week or two ago.
Very a lot of fun so far, and it's stacked cast, and I'm only in the first season, you know.
Yeah, good cast, and Mike White's a good writer.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And now for the movie focus of the week.
So this week we're talking about Go. It's rated R. It's from 1999, which is one of the best years in film. Fight me on that.
I don't think anyone's going to fight you, because I think that's kind of universally agreed upon that's
I would hope
a real like turning point year in cinema. I'll fight you because I think the 1995 is always overlooked.
Yeah.
In terms of film, but yeah, like 99, there was such a diverse slate of films.
All right. So it's a crime comedy. It runs at 1 hour and 43 minutes, and it's got a well-deserved 91 on Rotten.
That's good. That's where it belongs.
Yeah, right. Near perfect, for sure. Written by John August, directed by Doug Liman, starring Sarah Polley, Taye Diggs, Katie Holmes, Breckin Meyer, Scott Wolf, Timothy Oliphant, William Fichtner, Jay Moore, and J.E. Freeman. The film is set around Christmas time and follows Rana, a grocery store clerk who covers her co-worker Simon's shift, only to be approached for drugs by two actors, Zach and Adam. Rana agrees to do what she can in an effort to fulfill her overdue rent, and the results of this decision are disastrous, and three different perspectives collide in this irreverent, smart, and honest look at 90s party and drug culture. The script was penned by John August, who has adapted some noteworthy projects such as Big Fish, Corpse Bride, and the Charlie's Angels reboot trilogy. After August saw director Doug Liman's breakout feature, Swingers, he knew that Doug would be a perfect fit for Go. Doug Liman would also be the acting cinematographer on set and would go on to direct some big budget flicks after, like the original Bourne Identity from 2002, Mr. and Mrs. Smith in 2005, and Edge of Tomorrow in 2014. Go was shot in just 25 days on a budget of $20 million and was released on April 9th, 1999. The film only managed to gross about $28.5 million at the box office. However, as far as critics go, the film has always been admired from the very beginning. Gaining more of a cult following through the years, the film's unorthodox story narrative is very reminiscent and often compared to Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction, but John August's writing brings a lot to the table. The characters and performances are all dynamite and funny as hell, with many quotable scenes. The direction and editing are near perfect and really keep the pace moving. The music and score really amps up the energy of everything going on around the characters without feeling too try-hard. It's safe to say that Go is the best film you probably haven't seen, and we suggest you seek it out, especially right now, as it is, after all, a Christmas movie. 4 out of 5 per headbanger. Thank you.
I always like when you have your rating system.
Yeah.
I always wonder what it's going to be this time.
All right, man. Tell us, what does this movie mean to you, and were you able to see it on its theatrical run?
Oh, yeah. I watched it multiple times in the theater. Always loved it. It's a lot of fun. It moves very fast. I guess it has to. So many funny performances. A lot of these people, the actors in it were kind of starting out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, they a couple of them had done stuff before, but not a lot. I mean, Sarah Polley was a child actor, so she had been around a while. Will Fichtner obviously had been around. But, like, Polley's great in it. This was, like, one of Taye Diggs' first big movies.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's fantastic in it. Taye Diggs might be my favorite character in the movie and might be my favorite performance in the movie. He is so fucking funny. Oliphant was pretty new. I think the only movie I can remember seeing him in before this was Scream 2.
Yeah.
Even Katie Holmes had like just barely been in. I think Dawson's Creek had just started not too long before this. And I think Disturbing Behavior was probably not too long before this.
98, I believe.
So a lot of them were just starting out. Even Breckin Meyer even hadn't been in a whole lot.
The Craft was what, 96?
Yeah, The Craft is a couple years before this, and Clueless is just before The Craft. And even in those movies, even in The Craft, he's not in it very much.
Yeah, bit parts for sure.
Yeah, he's got a bigger role in Clueless before that. But Oliphant, Polley, Taye Diggs, Will Fichtner, they're so good in the movie. They're so much fun. And I hadn't seen this in a few years until I sat down to watch it for the show. And was really having a ball. Was laughing my ass off at a lot of scenes. Good movie. It's kind of a shame. It made money. Did you mention how much it made at the box office, or just what the budget was?
Yeah. Unless I read this wrong, but in my write-up, it's 28.5.
Yeah, that's what I have in my research. So it made some money, but it's still kind of a lower grosser. And I think a lot of people just wrote it off because it was that kind of post-Pulp Fiction world of movies where a lot of people were trying to ape that style.
Yeah.
And which I don't think that this movie does at all. And it's not like Quentin Tarantino invented the style where you tell a bunch of different stories in one film. But, you know, Pulp Fiction obviously was a huge hit, kind of put that style and made it popular out in the world. And a lot of people were trying to go for some vibe like that. And I think that this movie kind of gets unfairly judged because of it. But it's so much fun. All three stories are a hell of a lot of fun. We can get into which one is my favorite a little bit later. I might have already tipped my hand at that. But it's really fun. It's got a pretty good soundtrack. You know, some stuff very 90s in it, but good music. And Doug Liman was a good director. You like you said, he was hot off the Swingers. And it's a fun movie. It's definitely takes place at Christmas time. Does it specify when it takes place? I always thought it was Christmas Eve, but I could be wrong.
I think in my research, it does, or it starts off Christmas Eve.
Okay, so it goes Christmas Eve into Christmas.
Yes,
because there's a full day that kind of goes by in the course of the film.
And then, of course, at the end, so I forget who it is, but somebody says, "What? So what are we doing for New Year's?"
Oh, that's Manny. After they find him at the end, yeah, he says, "What are we doing for New Year's?"
You look like shit.
So that's what everything that I have to say about it. That's kind of what it means to me. It's a movie that I loved when I first saw. I think it's very overlooked. Like you said, it might be one of the best movies you never heard of, which seems to be kind of our thing when you and I get together to do an episode.
Yeah.
Love it. It's a lot of fun. It came out in a good year at around a good time. This is kind of around the same time as The Matrix was out. So I think I theater hopped between this and The Matrix.
Do you think where's this stack up as far as Lyman's work? Do you think this is better than Swingers, or is this your favorite of his filmography?
This might be my favorite. That is a good question. I saw Swingers on a whim without knowing anything about it when I was in high school, and really, really loved it. And there was a lot of great stuff in that movie. So I do have that soft spot for Swingers and what that movie means to me. But I think Go is better.
Okay.
It's because it's a little bit more ambitious.
Because I think I read that Swingers was made for fucking $250,000, so they had
they made
money.
it pretty cheap.
Yeah,
and one of its stars wrote the script.
Favreau.
Yep. But I love both of them. I think Go is probably the better. And as far as his other films go, I'm kind of bummed actually that he hasn't really gone back to something smaller. Like he made the big jump going from these two movies into The Bourne Identity, which is a huge action movie.
Yes.
Shot, not shot in the States, shot in on location in Europe and mostly Paris, mostly France. And he's just been doing bigger movies ever since. But I kind of wish he would go back to doing something a little bit smaller like this. As far as those other movies go, I love The Bourne Identity. I love Edge of Tomorrow, and I'm not wild about too many others.
That's fair. I think, and maybe this is a hot take, but I think Edge of Tomorrow might be my favorite fucking Tom Cruise movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I loved it, dude. And I'm hoping they're still going to do the follow-up. There's been rumors for a while that Doug Liman's going to come back and do a sequel for it. And now, I don't know, do you know what he's geared up to do next?
I know that he was going to direct whatever movie that Cruise was going to make in space.
Okay, there's that, and then there's something else.
Can't say that I have off the top of my head.
So supposedly he's going to direct the Roadhouse reboot.
Don't do that, dude. Yeah. No one wants to see that Roadhouse reboot. Is that the one with Gyllenhaal?
Yeah.
Gyllenhaal being floated to be...
Yeah, it's Gyllenhaal. Unless they changed him already, but yeah, it's Gyllenhaal. Hey, man. They were originally going to do it with Ronda Rousey, so who would you rather see?
We talked about that. I'd rather see Gyllenhaal. You're right about that. You're right about that. But man, don't do that. Like, there's certain movies that are, are made in a time and a place.
So they make sense. Yeah.
They make sense, and even their cheesiness is part of the appeal.
Yeah.
And you can't recreate. You're never going to do the Patrick Swayze thing again. Like what did I tell you? What did I tell you? Like for Point Break.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was like, dude, no way. Like Patrick Swayze, you get the fuck out. I don't care if you have to dig up his like dead body. Like Patrick Swayze or nothing, dude.
Yeah.
So I like Gyllenhaal. If that ever actually gets off the ground, because it's been talked about forever, we'll see. But yeah, I'm not wild about Doug Liman's post-Born Identity films, with the exception of Edge of Tomorrow.
Yeah.
I even rewatched Mr. and Mrs. Smith and just did not care. There's a couple of fun action scenes in it, but just in the end, I was like really unimpressed.
When was this? Recently?
Probably within the last year, yeah.
Oh, okay. So you're watching it through the lens of today, as opposed to when it came out. All right.
Yeah, but even when it came out, I never really felt the desire to rewatch it.
Oh, okay.
I just happened to rewatch it because it was on like HBO or something, 7-8 months ago. Oh, Jumper. Good Lord.
I skipped that in my write-up for obvious reasons. I mean, it's an interesting premise, but the execution was just like, oh, whatever.
Agreed. Fair Game is okay. That's about the Valerie Plame. Her husband she was a CIA agent. Her husband wrote a critical article on the Bush presidency, and then they outed her. The Bush presidency outed her as a CIA agent.
Yeah.
That was a decent movie. But again, not another one that blew my socks off. So yeah, anything post-Born Identity, the only one that's, in my opinion, really worth a shit is Edge of Tomorrow.
So, Doug, if you happen to listen to this, whether it be years in the future or right now, go back to your early stuff,
Yeah, make some smaller movies, man. I love Christopher Nolan, but every now and then I'm like, man, I wish you would make a movie, kind of step it back and make another Memento or Insomnia type movie. Doug Liman, go back to some smaller flicks, like those first couple.
And super offensive. I don't think our parents would Go very much if they did see it. You know what I'm talking about? I do agree with you that I think especially if you go and read Roger Ebert's review of this film, he gave it 3 stars, and he said that that Doug Liman is talented, but that it seems like he was stuck in QT land, and the challenge will be to get out of it. But it's but come on, this is original enough to know, or to give them give these filmmakers some credit, not just say, oh yeah, they're just riffing off of Tarantino, because Pulp Fiction is completely different. Yes, the stories are not in chronological order, but that's about all they have in common,
Yeah.
So it just seems very unfair, especially because Pulp Fiction came out in fucking, 94, right?
Yes.
Like, that's a good amount of time in between for people to just be like, this is a fucking Pulp Fiction knockoff. Like, come on now.
Well, maybe there's a little bit of exhaustion by that point because, there's, 5 years between the two?
Uh-huh.
Between the two films. And like I said, a lot of people in that immediate post-Pulp Fiction world were trying to do that same style and just not being successful with it at all, or not having that magic to kind of capture what Tarantino was able to capture.
Yeah.
But this one, I think by far is so much better than all those other ones.
And you know what? Well, if you look up, like, there's like no marketing. They have like maybe 2 posters for this.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like, nothing.
I read that their financer dropped out because there was no bankable white male star in it. That
was their foreign investor, right?
Yeah, because foreign investors get weird where it's like they need some big star to sell the movie overseas.
Mm-hmm.
But there are no big stars in this movie. I mean, they're all young, with the exception of probably Fichtner and J.E. Freeman, who plays Vic, the dad of the bouncer in the Vegas section.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Who is fantastic in it as well. I'll give him a shout out because he's in Miller's Crossing, which is an amazing performance that he gives in Miller's Crossing as the Dane, pretty much the villain of the movie, or the henchman of the villain in the movie. But everyone in this film is younger. No one was what I would call a super established star at that point. I mean, the biggest stars in the movie were probably Scott Wolf and Katie Holmes because they were TV stars.
Yes, I had read that they weren't, or I think, was it Lyman was hesitant to hire both of them because he didn't want people to like slap the movie with that stigma of like, oh, like these are, stars from TV or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, and what's funny is that's what he thought, and then he sees Scott Wolf talking with Jay Moore in the hallway.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, oh yeah, these guys actually have really good chemistry together. And I think that's how Scott Wolf got the job, was because he saw like how good he was talking with Jay Moore and how personable and how well they work together. And he's great. Like, everyone gives a great performance in the movie. But, like I said, no one was a big star. And like, what you really need to sell a movie overseas is a bigger star. Or, have some outlandish premise or special effects driven film. That's what'll do well overseas.
Sometimes I feel like movies like this, they work when it's, because it's an ensemble cast, but it's more relaxed,
Yeah.
So and it's supposed to be grounded, and these characters feel all these actors, they seem like real people. Not to say that celebrities are not real people, but you understand what I mean.
Yeah.
It's just, and going back to the whole Tarantino thing, he said it himself, where it's like, sometimes I'll watch something and then you cast some super attractive dude and then it takes me out because they would never be in this situation that they're in this movie,
Mm-hmm.
where they're being broken up with by somebody or whatever. He was like, yeah, that doesn't make sense. And that's how I feel about Go, is where all of these people that they cast work because of where they were at in their career at that time,
Yeah. Yeah. No one is too big that doesn't take you out of the movie.
Yes.
I 100% agree with you. That's like Saving Private Ryan or even Black Hawk Down, where it's kind of like, yeah, all these cast members make sense as soldiers because no one is a big star, with the exception of Tom Hanks and Private Ryan. It's kind of like a lot of those guys were all starting out, and if you watch Black Hawk Down, the majority of that cast is all starting out or relatively newcomers, and it kind of keeps you grounded in it. I know I just name dropped 2 war movies, but I think that's why those movies work. Is because they're not a lot of cast members in there that you're like, oh yeah, I know this guy, I know this guy, I know this guy. They've been around, they've been in 300 movies apiece. So I totally agree with you that Go works because of that.
Have you did you pick up this soundtrack?
Yeah, I have the soundtrack. I like the soundtrack. I like the Len song, man. I know that they were they're always considered a one-hit wonder, but that's a fun song.
It's a good song.
My Sunshine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good track for sure.
It's a good song. Air. I love Air.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big fan of theirs. They got a good track.
Dude, the way that the movie opens up with the Columbia and then it just fucking kind of flows in, dude, it's good.
Yeah, it kind of takes that beat.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's good. I like it when you see the studio logo and then they do something weird or funky on the studio logo to take you into the movie. I like when films do that.
Yeah, like it's seamless.
Yeah. That's a lot of fun. I even like the original score by BT.
Yes.
Kind of that electronic techno score. That's a lot of fun too, especially the kind of riff that's playing at the very end.
Mm-hmm.
When Katie Holmes' character is in Oliphant's apartment and then Vic Sr. and Vic Jr. show up to shoot Simon. It's got a really fun riff.
It's funny at the end when they, what's his name? What's Oliphant's character's name? Todd Gaines.
Todd Gaines.
Yeah.
The good drug dealer.
They find him, or they're tracking Simon, and they end up at Todd's apartment, break in, and then, he's with Katie Holmes's character, and then he just immediately, Todd is just giving Simon up, where he's like giving them literal directions to where they can find him.
Well, it's like he didn't want any part of that.
Yeah.
Simon's the one that got in trouble with them, and he's just like, hey, I don't want any part of this. Here's where you can find them. And I like how Katie Holmes' character Claire is just kind of staring, like really at a loss.
Yeah.
Like what's going on? Like she can't believe that he's just so easily like telling them where to find them.
Yeah, and she tells him something too, where she's like, hey, yo, like, why don't you fucking, do you want to drive over to his place with them too? And maybe you can pull the trigger.
And it's so funny because when she says that, Oliphant kind of looks at her and like points like, yeah, that's a good idea.
And then Simon walks through the door.
For people who might not have seen this movie, do you want to get into why they were looking for him?
What do you think?
Or do you just want to leave it at that?
What do you think we should do? Break it down?
I think we can break it down some. I don't want to give away everything.
Okay. Yeah.
But like they were looking for Simon because he got in trouble in Las Vegas. Ended up shooting Vic Jr. in the arm. Who's a bouncer at a strip club.
To be fair, he was warned. He didn't follow the directions.
He didn't follow the rules. That's right.
And things got out of hand, and he shot he ended up shooting the bouncer Simon, and there's like this kind of cat and mouse chase from that point on throughout the film. But what I was gonna say was funny about that when they catch up to Simon.
What's funny is they're looking for him. They're tracking him. They chase him through Vegas.
Uh-huh.
And then when they get to Los Angeles, they're trying to find him, and he literally walks right into him, into the room where they are. But go ahead.
And you know, it's like they're asking, like, okay, like, what do you want? And they're like, we want justice or whatever. So then they come up with, basically, they'll be fine with just basically like Simon taking a slug to the arm the way that the bouncer did. And so they set this thing up where he's gonna get shot in the same exact place, pretty much.
Yeah, he draws the little X on his bicep.
Yeah. When I was watching that, when I watched the film for the show again, I was just like, wouldn't that be super fucking loud for everybody in that room?
It's loud, but here's what bugs me the most: is he puts his hand with like the shirt underneath his arm because of the blood. But I'm thinking, man, if that guy shoots him like a point blank, like with literally the gun pressed up against his flesh, that bullet's probably going to go right through
his hand. Yeah,
through his hand. Yeah, and it's not a small caliber gun, but whatever. It's a movie. It's more for comedic effect.
That's why I think because Katie Holmes' character, she leaves, she gets mad and is like, I gotta go to work, and she walks out, and then you hear the gunshot from afar.
Yeah.
So then you're not, you can't really judge what's happening, and that's smart filmmaking on their end, where it just kind of takes you out of that scenario,
By the way, that's a great trailer moment, is when you see her walking down the hall, and then there's the gunshot, so she's kind of startled by it.
Yes.
And she freezes, and then you hear Simon like down the hall go, "It's all right, I'm okay."
Yes.
Yeah, they were all ready to like shoot him in the head and kill him, and then she freaks out and yells at him, and she's like, are you going to shoot like all of us? And then that's when they come up with what do you really want? Okay, you want justice? Okay, we'll do the same thing to him that you did to Vic Jr.
Which is funny because it's like they forgot that they fucking flipped over their car and all this shit happened to them.
Yeah, how did they get to Los Angeles?
But I just mean they weren't mad about their vehicle, It was I guess kind of their fault, but I don't know. You said you think Taye Diggs is your favorite character then?
Yeah, the Vegas chunk of the movie is my favorite. I feel cliched for saying that, and I love the rawness stuff a lot. But Taye Diggs in the Vegas section just really puts it over the top for me. I think he's so fucking funny. There's all kinds of just like little subtle like idiosyncrasies in his performance. Dude, that he does.
Yeah. When when he's in the bathroom and the fucking the cowboy's like, can you pass me a towel there? And he doesn't even think about it. He just does it, and then the guy leaves him a tip, and he gets fucking mad.
He's wearing that god awful like mustard yellow that sports coat.
I'm not a bathroom attendant, you redneck motherfucker.
It's all of that stuff with where he's in the sports coat, even when they're outside the casino after Simon has the threesome and burns the hotel room, starts burning.
Yeah,
because of the burning tissues. There's that where they go outside. There's that bit where they're standing by the valet station and the guy rolls up in the Ferrari, I think.
Yes.
And he tosses the keys to Taye Diggs because he thinks he's the valet. And so Taye Diggs gets all pissed off, and then they steal his car.
Yeah.
It's that stuff. It's the interaction between him and Breckin Meyer. In the car in the very beginning of that story. where Breckin Meyer's telling that like really off-color story about his sexual escapade with some woman. And then it turns out that was Taye Diggs' story.
He's all, I know all of those little details because it happened to me.
And then and Breckin Meyer's like trying to act black and talk about how he is black because his mother's mother's mother was black, and Taye Diggs is like, this ain't Roots.
If you were any less black, you'd be clear.
It's that, and then when he's telling the story at the buffet about the tantric sex,
yes,
and Breckin Meyer's like making fun of him, and then he's like, yeah, I haven't come in 6 months. And they're like, what? And he's like, yeah, I swear to God, and I do mean Allah. And Breckin Meyer's like, word, and tries to dap him up. And Taye Diggs is just like, word. And like does the mocking voice. When they're in the hotel room and the kid is on the other end of the double door.
Oh yeah, and they're like, he's like, what are you guys doing? Raping little children.
Yeah, Simon says raping small children, and then there's like this quick shot of Taye Diggs like with some mocking laugh as he slams the door in the kid's face. It's so fucking funny. I think he's so good in the movie. I really wish that he had done a bit more comedy because he's so fucking funny in this.
He's in The Wood, right?
He's in The Wood. He's in The Best Man, which has had a sequel or two, and I think they're actually having like a TV sequel, like a show.
Uh-huh.
I could be wrong on whether or not that's a movie or a TV show. I mean, he's had a long career. He's been steady working forever, ever since he kind of came on the scene. But I wish that he had gotten the opportunity to be in some bigger stuff, because I think he's so good.
He's I'm pretty sure you don't like this movie, but he's in House on Haunted Hill, right?
Yes.
I should say the remake.
The remake, yeah. It's whatever. I like the original, the Vincent Price original, because that's pretty good.
Yeah.
He's great in Way of the Gun.
That's right, he is in it.
Him and Nicky Cat are like the bagmen. Or not necessarily the bagman. I guess you would say James Caan is the bagman for the gangster guy. These two are like the bodyguards.
Mm-hmm.
But he's very fucking good in Way of the Gun. I wish that he had gotten the opportunity to be in some bigger stuff. Maybe he did and he didn't want it. Or maybe he just never had the opportunity. But I think he's fantastic in this. And I always love seeing him. And just a lot of the stuff that he does in this movie are stuff that Joel and I will still reference to this day. But like I said, the laugh that he does, like when he slams the door in the kid's face, or when Simon's like trying to get money out of him when he's at the blackjack table, and he tells him to beat it. And then when Simon leaves, he's just like, scram. Damn it. And as much as I love some of the other performances in this movie, I think his might be my favorite.
I can see why. He's very solid, especially for this being like one of his first major roles.
Yeah, I'm looking him up right now. I think he'd done a little bit of TV prior to this, and I know How Stella Got Her Groove Back is probably his big movie. That kind of put it. Yeah, it's all TV stuff or a part in like a Tupac video.
Mm-hmm.
How Stella Got Her Groove Back is kind of what puts him on the map in the film world, and then Go is the next movie he makes. So he was relatively new. But Like I said, I think Sarah Pauli's fantastic in it. I think Oliphant is hilarious, even though he's only in, 2-3 scenes maybe? Like, big scenes.
Yeah, he's really not in it a whole lot, but he does has a big impression.
I mean, he's really in, like, the Rana section.
Yeah.
Because he's the drug dealer that she goes to score some ecstasy to sell to Adam and Zach.
I love when she goes back to tell him, like, or give him back the fake ecstasy, and he's all, "Oh, no problem. Let me just like grab a fucking return slip.
I'll have the manager write you a refund." He's really funny. There's that bit where Sarah Pauli doesn't have the money that he wants, so she leaves Claire as collateral, and he's talking to her, and you hear his half of the phone call because Simon ends up calling him from Las Vegas.
Yeah,
and there's the Oliphant half of the phone call where he's just kind of talking about the rave, and he's like staring at Claire, and he's like, "I don't know, maybe." And then you get like the other half of that conversation with Simon. But he's really funny in that, and then as we discussed, he's really funny in that almost end scene where they're back at his apartment and Vic Jr. and Senior show up. His whole beef with like the Family Circus. Yeah. How he hates the Family Circus comic. And the look on his face when Rana gets hit by the car.
Yes.
There's that shot of him, and it's even better from the Adam and Zach point of view inside the car, where they see him just kind of like looking in the window, and he's got like that expression on his face
with the gun,
like,
right?
Yeah, what just happened? Yeah.
And they're like, oh my god, drive away. My question for you, in your opinion, what do you think he would have done? What was his intentions with Rana? Was he going to really kill her? Or
he seemed pretty serious. I mean, she was trying to explain herself, and he wasn't interested in it, and then he pulls the gun on her. I mean, he did get ripped off.
Or was he just going to force her to give all the money that she had made that night, But it also, like you said, it didn't seem like he was interested in her paying him off at all.
Yeah, because she's like, "Hey, let me explain," and he's like, "Not interested." I mean, she wasn't one of his regular customers. He could have smoked her and not felt bad about it, not lost any revenue.
His face when he's just like, "Oh," and then he just like walks away.
Yeah. He kind of puts the gun back into his belt and walks away.
And that's why later towards the end, he's like really confused when Katie Holmes comes walking in and is just like super like chummy.
Yeah.
With him, like nothing's happened, and he's just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and she's looking for Rana.
Yeah. And he realizes that she wasn't, obviously she wasn't in on it.
Yeah.
Because she would have fucking probably turned the other way and left. She wouldn't have been hanging out with him the way she was. But very interesting that little interaction with them at the restaurant.
Yeah, which by the way, bookends the film. Because it's what is kind of the cold open of the movie.
Yes.
And then it jumps into the Rana story. But, she's talking about how she likes the surprises of Christmas and how she, 24 hours prior, would her and Todd have been, hanging out together after she kind of had that weird interaction with him where she's, at his apartment being collateral for Rana. Which is a great scene where she says, "Oh, I don't have the money, but I'll give you what I have, and then I'll leave something as collateral." He's like, "I already got a fucking swatch." So she leaves her best friend behind. He's like, I need to have something that I know you're going to come back for.
And then when he's So she goes up, she goes upstairs and she hangs out with him, and he gets this call from Simon, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh yeah, there's some party going on, and he's all, what's it called? Like Merry something?
Merry Xmas.
And he's like, but Mary as in a chick. And then he's like, talk shit, and he's like, no, Mary as in the name, not as in, or not like marry me. Or,
yeah.
You fucking moron. Or something. But the way he delivers those lines.
Yeah, he's real deadpan.
Yeah. He's a good bully. He's a good bully.
He's pretty scary in that quick little scene where Rana asks for the drugs and then he turns up the stereo really loud.
Yes.
And, makes her take her shirt off and turn around to make sure that she's not wearing a wire.
Uh-huh. He's all, just so fucking happens that, what is it? Like,
the number of pills that she asked for is like the number where intent to sell becomes drug trafficking.
Which is 20, I think, is what they say. But yeah.
20 was the amount that she was after, because that's what the sting operation with Will Fichtner and Adam and Zach were trying to do, was they were trying to pick up Simon on drug trafficking. Probably trying to get Simon to flip on Todd. They were fishing.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the number that Adam and Zach asked for to get Simon, and then Fichtner would have used Simon to get to Todd. But yeah, he turns up the stereo, makes her turn around. And then it's really funny because later on when Rana's selling the over-the-counter meds, there's that one weird kid that comes up to her at the rave and is like, oh, I hear you're selling some really great shit. And she's like, show me your tits.
Yeah.
And he takes off his shirt and she makes him turn around. He's kind of doing this little dance as he's doing it.
Maybe the best line in the movie.
If I'm not mistaken, I think I watched the director's commentary one time. And I think that was just some random dude that was at the rave. That they just pulled into the scene.
When they get into the car with those kids, that's pretty funny.
Oh yeah, when she's selling them the drugs.
Yeah, and she's all, you know what'll help you with these? If you just take a lot of pot with them. And I mean like a lot.
He's like, yeah, she asked if they can party. And then they cut to them sitting in the car. And he's like, oh. It's like, yeah, I think I feel it.
He's like, it's floating.
That guy, one of his friends, ask him how it is. And he explains it. And he's like, how's the ground down there and shit? And the guy's like, oh, I feel it. And he's like, yeah, man. Just people with no experience thinking they know what's going on. That her interaction with those people are funny, with those kids. And then they're the ones that find Rana after she gets hit, and then Adam and Zach try to get rid of the body. Turns out she's alive. And because she's alive, they dump her on the car. They throw her on someone's hood. And the alarm is going off, and it's those kids that find her.
I can't believe that they go back after all of that time to fish her out of the ditch. They're like, this is just like a movie, say hi to Molly over there.
He's like, hi, Molly.
Yeah.
But then 2 seconds later, he's like, I'm not delusional. But it's really dark because Jay Moore's about to brain her with that club.
Yeah.
You find when they figure out that she's really not dead. It was, oh well, we had a plan based on whether or not she's dead, so we should make sure that she's dead. And he's ready to hit her with the club. He's like, oh, I can't do it.
Did in your research, did you see that they offered Polly the role without her even having to audition?
Yeah. Where is that? I have that because they were thinking of they had cast Christina Ricci.
Yes.
As Rana, but she drops out because of some scheduling conflicts. And I was trying to figure out what movie she was making that she had to drop out, and I think it might have been Sleepy Hollow. Because that came out that same year.
Yeah,
but I could be wrong. I was just kind of looking at her IMDb, trying to figure out what other movies she was in that came out around that time, and I think Sleepy Hollow was probably the one that she had scheduling conflicts with.
Do you think, could you see Christina Ricci in that role?
I could see her in that role.
Yeah.
She definitely has that kind of acidic delivery that Polly has in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad it's Polly because Polly's not as well known. And I think she's very good. And she's another one where I wish that she had a bigger career.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even though she kind of pivoted into directing, and she's an excellent director, and she's even got a new movie coming out this year, which I don't know if it'll be out by the time the end of the year comes around. It might open wide in January. But she's got this kind of second career as a director that she chose. But she always seemed to me, and according to the research, it seemed like she kind of just worked when she wanted to. And didn't really go after huge roles and want to take a lot of work. It was just kind of like, oh, I'll work when I want to and I'll do what I want to. She seems very comfortable.
She's in the Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead, right?
Yeah, and she's excellent in that.
Yeah, she's great.
But I was trying to see what other big movies she had really done, and that's really it. I mean, not that I would say that this is a huge movie. But I mean, she's basically in a lot of smaller, more independent movies, and even then, she isn't in a lot. And then I think she has stopped acting altogether when she kind of pivoted into directing. But even now, she hadn't directed in a while, and I saw her on a talk show last week, maybe 2 weeks ago, and apparently she had an injury that kind of messed her up for a while. She had a concussion that she had real trouble with for a long time. Okay. So she had a concussion, fire extinguisher fell on her head.
Yeah.
And gave her a concussion.
What
and
the fuck?
Yeah. She had real trouble with that for a while. That was about 7 years ago that happened. So recovering from that, she took a long time. And she just now had made another movie that I don't think she had directed in about a decade. But she also, had a family and all that. So yeah, like I said, she just kind of seemed like someone that always was, I'll work when I want to and I'll do what I want to, and I'm not going to be a full-time actor, and I'm not going to pursue, bigger projects because I like doing this. It seems like, she's Canadian. I don't know if she still lives there, but at the time, she wasn't even certain that she was going to do this film because she was just kind of having fun doing her own thing at home in Canada. But yeah, to loop back to what you originally said, they offered it to her without her having to audition. And that's pretty cool to be offered a role and saying, hey, if you want this, it's yours. You don't have to prove yourself. But I think she's great in this. I think she's great in Dawn of the Dead. I think she's a good director. So I'm happy that she's got the life that she wants.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
That's cool. I'm looking forward to seeing her new movie whenever that opens up wide. But the unfortunate thing is, I think this movie started out as kind of a short with just the Rana story.
Yeah.
And then August, fleshes it out with the two other stories. But I think the unfortunate thing is I think the Rana story is probably the shortest.
You think so?
I think so, because the Vegas section feels long, not like it drags or anything, but I think the Vegas section is longer by maybe 10 minutes. But I could be wrong. You'd have to like sit there and kind of pay attention to the counter. But just rewatching it last night, I was like, oh, the Rana story is shorter than I remember. Even though she's kind of front and center on the marketing. She's on the poster.
Don't be thinking you're something you're not. I used to have your job.
And look where it got you.
Her face, dude, what you said.
Yeah, she delivers that line pretty bitterly. So let's talk a little bit more about the Adam and Zach section, because we haven't really touched on them except in passing.
Yeah.
Because Scott Wolf and Jay Moore are great together. By the way, the story goes back to the same spot each time, and that's the back of the grocery store where Rana and Claire and Simon all work, and Manny. You know, we mentioned Manny earlier.
Macarena.
That's like a remix version that he's dancing to in the store. I like when he's eating the banana.
Hilarious.
He takes the big bite of the banana, and then as he's spinning, it's like coming out of his mouth.
Christian from the Digital Gym, when we were promoting the show, he cut his own, like, he used that scene for the promotions of him like dancing with that random cashier lady.
Oh yeah?
It was fucking rad, yeah.
By the way, like, I didn't mention this at the top of the show. I should have. We kind of talked about this after you did the screening.
Yes.
This was our planned Christmas movie back in January.
Yeah, before we did the screening. The screening just was by pure luck on our end.
And then afterwards, I was kind of like, I don't know if I want to go for the Christmas movie now, because I kind of feel like I don't want to seem like I'm jumping on a bandwagon, even though you and I had this planned out, almost 12 months ago now.
Yes.
For the Christmas movie.
Even before then, it had been kind of on the docket for even like it'd been on one of your lists as a Christmas movie for a while.
Yeah, it's been on the list of potential Christmas movies that I'll refer to when it comes time to pick, and then you and I will sit down and, as we hammer out the schedule, kind of talk about, what do we want to try to look at this Christmas. So I was a little skeptical as to whether or not we should do it, if we should pivot and do something else at the last minute. But talking to you, and even Susie was talking to me, was like, yeah, no, like, just do it. Like, you had planned on doing it, just do it. Who cares? And maybe some of the people that are listening to this episode that watched the movie at your screening a few months back, and the movie's fresh in their minds.
Yeah, and it was. I'm happy to report that it was a good turnout for Go.
It's good. It's a good movie.
I was a little worried with there was a ball game happening at the same time.
Oh yeah, because the Digital Gym moved down to like the East Village area, right?
Yes. So me and Christian were kind of like, oh no, and people still came through, and we had a packed house, so it was rad.
That's good. Is their new location bigger than the one that's on El Cajon?
Yes, and it's very, very nice. I think whenever you get to drop in down there, you'll be like, okay, this is cool.
Okay. Yeah.
I went to recently. I took because I saw when I went to see Pearl. I did the double feature with X and Pearl after Alone. And then, because Emma was on vacation, so when she came back, I saw that Digital Gym was playing it there, so I took her to watch it for the first time at the Digital Gym, and it was great. It was just me and like me, Emma, and then 2 other people on like the other side of the theater. So it was cool, quiet experience, but it was awesome seeing something like in an empty theater like that, you know?
Yeah.
I guess, if that makes sense.
No, that's awesome. The last couple of movies I've gone to see have been pretty empty. I told you I saw Bones and All, and that was just one other person in the theater that bailed, like right after one of the real gruesome scene.
Oh yeah, dude.
Fairly early on.
Well, dude, when I went to see, I took Emma again to watch Bones and All, and fucking family was in there with their baby.
No.
And I was just like, of all fucking movies, are you kidding me, man? What did I do for the world, the universe to do this to me?
If you got a baby with you, a movie's probably not your highest priority.
And not a movie about cannibalism.
No. No.
And then they're fucking talking amongst themselves in the back of the theater with the baby.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up.
I
cannot stand that.
Like running commentary, but with the kid. And, and the movie is pretty quiet, if you remember it. Yeah, it's a very, very, very quiet film. So you can hear a pin drop in a lot of scenes, and you just hear either crying or fucking running commentary. And needless to say, when the movie ended, they were like, what the fuck did we just watch? So it was just like, oh, so you guys assholes just stumbled in on here and you didn't even know what the movie was supposed to be. Great.
Yeah, thanks for ruining my experience in the process of all of this.
Yeah.
God. As someone who used to watch movies by himself all the time, literally by myself because of my job, I love when I go to the theater and there's like 1 or 2 other people or no one else in the theater with me. It's amazing.
Yeah, because you're just completely immersed.
Getting back to Adam and Zach, the Jay Moore and Scott Wolf section of the film. Anyways, I was talking about they go back to the supermarket each time that Rana and Claire work at, Simon works at. Simon wants Rana to take a shift so he can go to Las Vegas. Rana takes it because she's desperate for money because she's she's short rent money. So she needs it, and then that's what she ends up selling the drugs for. The fake drugs, because she has to flush the real ones because she gets caught up in that sting operation. They're watching TV, and the soap opera that Claire is watching stars Adam and Zach.
Yeah.
And then just that clip that they show from the soap opera is really funny, where Adam is the cop and Zach's like some kind of a criminal or bad guy, and they have like that stare off with each other, and then it's revealed that they're a couple and they were cheating on each other. And they're cheating on each other. They find out with the same guy.
So
they go
to the rave, right, to confront him.
They go to the rave to confront him, but before they do that, they get caught up with Burke, with the Will Fichtner's character, where he invites them, to his house like for Christmas dinner.
Oh yeah, the dinner scene's awesome.
And there's that whole weird interaction with Zach and Fichtner when he comes out of the bathroom and he's just standing there naked. He's like, "Oh yeah, like check out this cologne." He's like, "Yeah, it's CK1, but it's not." And he's all nonchalant. He's like, "Hey, so are you into new things?" And I think it's kind of implied that he's kind of into Zach too.
Yeah. There's definitely some like tension going on.
And then, on the other side of the house, there's some sexual tension, some one-way sexual tension between Fichtner's wife and Adam. where she's asking them the questions. It's Jane Krakowski, who's fantastic in 30 Rock. If you've ever watched 30 Rock, or the Kimmy Schmidt, she's in Kimmy Schmidt as well. Great comedic actress, but she's Fichtner's wife, and she's asking Adam all about when you kiss on TV, how does that go? And he's like, oh yeah, it's stage kiss. You touch lips, but there's no tongue. And then she just plants a huge kiss on him. And then when she pulls away, he's like, see, there was a lot of tongue there. It's just the way that she keeps looking at him. And then when they're at the dinner table, there's that whole weird exchange where it turns out that they invited them over there to try to suck them into their pyramid scheme. What is it? It's Confederated Products. He says a different kind of product, or a different. Is it a different way of life or something?
Yeah.
He has that whole speech. They're trying to rope him into the pyramid scheme. They're the number 3 distributor on the West Coast. It's really funny, and Adam and Zach are just kind of sitting there wondering, what the fuck did we just get into? And then they're at the liquor store, and they're talking about they had cheated on each other. They found out they cheated with the same guy. So they go to his house to confront him, and he's not there, but the woman who answers the door, his sister. And you know who that was, right? In one of her first movies. Melissa McCarthy.
Yes, Melissa.
Which I don't know how old she is when she shot that. She looks really young.
Yeah.
She looks like she might be in her 20s. If her early mid 20s tops. I don't know how old she is now. She looked really young when she opened the door. And she's all kind of goofy and spacey. And she goes to get the number, and then she's like, wait, you guys know, right? And they're like, yeah, we know. And she's like, oh my God, good, because there was one time where you missed each other by 5 minutes. She's like, I take no responsibility for any of this. So yeah, they go to the rave to confront the guy, and then as they're leaving the rave, they're driving through the parking lot, which if you're paying attention, in the Rana section, you can see the yellow Miata, driving through the parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
They end up hitting her when she steps out into traffic.
So when they do intercutting scenes like that, from a different perspective, do they just have a second unit and they're shooting those scenes at the same time?
They probably have a few different camera setups.
Okay.
Or every now and then they'll kind of reshoot the scene. Yeah, but my guess is they had just a few camera setups, pointing in different directions. Excuse me. But they hit her, drive off, and then as they're at the gas station, kind of decompressing, and that's when Adam goes to take a piss and finds out that he's still wearing the wire that Burke had strapped him up with. And then that's when they decide they have to go back and take care of the body. And Adam has a little freak out, and Zach is trying to calm him down. And then when they figure out that Ron is still alive, they throw her on the hood of the car to attract attention. But as good as they are, I think Will Fichtner is definitely the best part of that story. Because he's definitely got something going on. Even at the beginning when they're in the bathroom and he's having his guy wire up Adam. He's staring at him. He's like, oh yeah, you work out, right? But he's just yeah, you can tell. He's sizing them up. And then the part when they're at the house or the apartment where Rana shows up to sell them the drugs. And she knows that something's up because the story, some of the details in the story or the dialogue that Burke's having with her are not the same as the ones that Adam and Zach had with her. So she knows something's up. But one of my favorite lines is, when she comes out of the bathroom after flushing the pills, he's like, "Oh yeah, I just want to make a deal. Can we make a deal?" And she says, "Who the fuck are you, Monty Hall?"
He's all creepy, like looking up into the fucking, because he knows what she's probably doing, and he's trying to look over into what she's doing. Because there's like this kind of window that you can look through down. I don't know why it's there, but he's all creepy, and then he's like picking the door lock, just like super weirdo.
Yeah.
But the funny thing about this movie is that they never frisk her or try to confiscate anything, so she flushes those, even though it was a smart thing to do. She didn't have to.
He probably could have stopped her at the door.
Which
frisked her, like, with probable cause. I don't know what, legally what he could or could not have done.
So do you think he doesn't do it because he knows that she's flushed him?
I think he was wise and knew that she went into the bathroom to flush him, and now she's looking to leave. But it happens twice, from kind of slightly different perspectives. But Adam's standing in front of the door, and Ron is trying to leave, and Burke like kind of makes that gesture, and Adam's still standing there. He's like, "Yeah, that means move away from the door."
Yeah.
And you see it like from Adam's perspective in their story, and you see it from like Burke's perspective in Rana's story. That little exchange in that line where he tells him to move away from the door.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's that exchange where he handcuffs Zach, and he's being like real forceful, shoving up against the door and like, pulling his arm down. He's like, "Yeah, I watch a lot of cop shows. They never do it right." He's great. Fichtner should be in more comedies too. And by the way, talking about Doug Liman, Fichtner's got an off-screen cameo in Mr. and Mrs. Smith. He's the off-screen voice of the therapist.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So now that I've talked about what is probably my favorite performance and my favorite section of the film, like, what's yours? What are your favorite performance? What's your favorite section of the film?
I really like the Rana stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And Sarah Polley is fucking so good, so believable.
She's great.
And then, her having to kind of go up against Timothy Oliphant. I think a lot of that stuff is so fun. And then, of course, her friend, what's his name? The guy who fucking secretly takes he takes two of them, right? The ecstasy?
Yeah, he takes two, which is what Oliphant had warned her about when he sold it to her. Don't let him double up.
Or you'll be frying eggs off of them in the emergency room.
Yeah. Manny. Manny's the kid's name.
Manny, that's right. He's great. I did see somebody, a critic, who had said that they felt like the way that Manny portrayed like being a rolling or whatever on E wasn't authentic, and that's not how somebody would act. But also he's essentially ODing, right? He took double what he should have taken. Yeah, they're like that. You know, it wouldn't make you act like that, but it's like, but you don't know because he's exceeded his limit, and that's why, of course, it's going to be different. And it's a movie, guys. Come on, but yeah. To answer your question, I think without a doubt, Rana is awesome, and the way that they kind of close out her story at the end, and she's like hobbling along from her the accident, and
the look on her face when she wakes up in the hospital room.
Yeah.
And then she just goes back to work and shows up, and Katie Holmes is looking at her like nothing happened.
And then they go back to find Manny, who's still fucking just. They had ditched him like earlier, and forgot about him, and he's still just out there all dirty, fucking shivering.
I'm sure that rain helped to cool them off. Because, when Oliphant says, you'd be frying eggs off of them, and when they're trying to run out of the rave because Todd is chasing them, she's like, oh, you're burning up.
Yeah.
And she ditches him because she can't babysit him and try to run away from Todd at the same time. So she stashes him underneath, the sheet metal and trash cans, whatever was out there.
It's pretty funny when she realizes he's taken two of them. She's like, why the fuck would you do this to me? I needed you. And then she's like, just fucking drive or whatever. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, do you really want this guy driving?
Yeah, right. But after they go to the pharmacy and she steals all the pills, she's the one that's behind the wheel. And she's like, A or B. She's opening up the bottles and she's like showing them the pills.
Yeah.
Trying to get them to figure out like which one looked like the ecstasy that he took.
And that's how Todd is able to he realizes he's been duped because they look different, right?
Yeah. When he dumps the bottle out, they kind of cut him or move them around. He notices that they're different. That's on him. He should have checked after she brought him right back to him.
Yeah, she definitely lucked out even getting out of that place.
Yeah.
And also there's this little detail, and I don't know if you caught it or not, but when we first meet Todd Gaines, fucking Timothy Oliphant's character, it looks like he has some kind of coke nail.
Oh, really? No, I didn't catch that.
Yeah, like all of his nails are fine, but then his pinky, when Katie Holmes is with him as collateral and he's like talking shit to her as he's holding the receiver of that phone. If you look at his pinky, it's painted black and it's like super long.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'll pay attention to that. I'm sure I'll catch it here in the next few minutes because, as you know, and maybe your listeners know or don't know, I usually will have the movie on in the background while we're doing the show if we're over the phone.
Yeah.
Just in case I need to refer to it for any reason. So that's probably coming up within about the next 10 minutes here. I'll be sure to pay attention. I did notice that like his apartment looks like it's got lots of boxes of like stereo equipment.
Yes.
Like he's a fence on the side as well as a drug dealer.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it.
I was trying to figure it out. Like he's got a lot of stuff that you can see, and then when they go back to return the pills, and they're like, there's a lot of stuff stacked up in the hallway. The look on Rana's face, because like when we're first introduced, he's sitting there, and like his girlfriend, I'm assuming, like walks into the room, and he's like, "Oh, hey, are you leaving?" And she like just totally like face bucks him.
Yeah.
For like 30 seconds, and Rana's just like staring at him. Oh, you know what's a really funny bit in the Vegas section is the kid when the kid that's in the other room on the other side of the door, the adjoining room, when Vic Jr. and Sr. show up.
Yes.
And are like breaking into the room, they're trying to like escape through the adjoining room. And because they already pissed that kid off, they're like, "Oh, hey, can you open up the door?" And he's like, "Fuck you."
Yeah. Yeah.
And then Breckenmeyer's like, "Look, kid, we're sorry about earlier, but it'd be really swell if you could just open up the door." And then when the kid yells "fuck you" at him, you can hear him on the other end of the door. He's like, "Bitch."
Yeah. Oh. You bitch.
And then he's like, "Yeah, okay, $100." So they have to like pay him. And the kid's like counting the money. And they're like, "Open up now, open up now."
Also, I can say, having hotel experience, those, when those two show up, they have like what looks like a monkey wrench or something. And they're trying to take apart those hotel doors, and those locks are no joke. It checks out, like them struggling to get in there for as long as they did.
Because it's a key lock, not a key lock, the card, right?
Yeah, a card reader, essentially.
Yeah.
And those are built like they're fucking hard to get into.
Yeah, because they knock off the handle pretty easily, but even without the handle, they're still like struggling to get through the door.
Yeah, because they deadbolt engaged, and there's so many layers to that. Having put so many together, that it makes sense that they would have time to dip out through the adjoining room. It makes sense. So. I just thought it was so funny when they zoom in and you just see like the handle fall off from the other side.
They come busting back into the room. They're like, "Yeah, we have 30 seconds to like pack all your shit, and we need to get out of here right now."
And they're just like, "What the fuck are you talking about?"
because Breckenmeyer and James Duvall were sick.
Yeah,
because they ate all the shrimp at the buffet. And Marcus tells them, don't eat that shrimp because it's full of iodine, because they're not anywhere near the ocean. So they shoot it up with preservatives. But yeah, they're really sick. So there's that scene before they go out, Marcus and Simon, where they're trading time in the bathroom. And then when they come back, they're like, what's going on? They're just like trying to chill, still feeling ill from all the shrimp.
And when there's that chase scene, when they're going down the stairwell, Breckenmeyer's just like, where the fuck am I running from?
Yeah, he just stops, refuses to go. Okay, so you're on the Rana section. Okay. I mean, there's no bad story in this movie.
No,
they're all super entertaining and a lot of fun. But I was just curious because like I said, as cliche as it sounds, I really love the Vegas section, and that's mainly because of the Tay Diggs stuff and the antics that he and Simon get into. So, did you catch in your research that Oliphant got lucky to get this part?
Yeah. So apparently he was supposed to be in Practical Magic and then was fired for whatever reason, which allowed him this opportunity to be in Go. Right?
Yeah. What I thought was funny was he auditioned for Adam for the Scott Wolf role.
That's right.
And didn't get it, and then they wanted him for Todd. The producers really liked him for Todd. Oh, I think he auditioned for both Adam and Zach, and the producers wanted him to play Todd, which he did. And then I read that originally Jay Moore, who plays Zach, wanted the Todd role, and even after he got cast as Zach, it was still kind of like pushing for the Todd role. So I thought that was funny, but I think they ended up in the same spot. I don't think Jay Moore could be as menacing as Oliphant is in a couple of those scenes.
No, they made the right choice.
Yeah.
I always think about fucking because I watched Scream 2 again for the 25th anniversary. Jesus
Christ, really?
Yeah.
Fucking I am old, dude.
But
I'm old.
He's really good as Mickey throughout that until the end when he's
like way over the top.
Yeah, he's it is gonna rock.
He's like isn't he like jumping up and down?
Yeah.
Let me look him up really quick. Like what else was he in?
I know he's in
before that.
Before Scream 2?
Yeah, because Scream. I remember him in Scream 2, and then Go.
I know he has a bit part, and this is like early 2000s, but he's in a Man Apart, the Vin Diesel film.
Yeah,
for a little bit. Girl Next Door, but that's all still 2000s.
The First Wives Club, which I've never seen.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen that.
A Life Less Ordinary, which those two seem like bit parts.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's Scream 2, and then I think he does an episode of Sex and the City according to the IMDb.
Really?
Yeah. And then it's Go. So he wasn't in a whole lot. And didn't have very big roles in anything until Scream 2 and then Go. I'm glad he's in this movie. I'm glad he got the Todd role. He's really great in it. And he's great in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I was just rewatching that not too long ago.
That's right. I always forget he's in. There's so many people in those movies.
Yeah, there's a lot. He has that great conversation with DiCaprio about the Great Escape.
Yes.
How DiCaprio is going to play the Steve McQueen role. Do you know who else they considered for the role of Rana?
No, I think I only saw Christina Ricci.
Melissa Joan Hart.
I don't...
Odd choice, right?
Odd choice, yeah.
She to me, she seems like she has no edge to her.
Just with the stuff that she's done, because even like in Can't Hardly Wait, she's just like some preppy girl, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
she's never really dove in that world, I think. Like,
yeah, it's weird. It's weird that they would consider her for a movie like this. Like I said, like I can see Christina Ricci because she's got that edge to her. But Melissa Joan Hart, no.
You know who could have probably done this because she was, or I thought she was very good in Freeway, but possibly Reese Witherspoon, like early.
Yeah,
Reese.
that early Reese Witherspoon, I can see that.
Yeah.
Except I think she might have been a little too old.
At the. Oh, really?
Well, I mean, because these are supposed to be teenagers, at least the Rana and Claire parts. I don't know about the Simon part, how old Simon is supposed to be.
Well,
but I think Rana and Claire are supposed to be teenagers, and Rana even says like, "Oh, I'm 17."
That's yeah. Well, then,
and I don't know if that was her being genuine or her trying to like talk her way out of that shitty situation.
Well, answer me this. If they're teenagers, why is she living on her own and struggling to pay rent?
True. But I think in the research it said that they were supposed to be teenagers. They just went with actors who were a little bit older because they were shooting all at night.
Yeah, that's right. It'd be from like 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. shoot.
Yeah. And when you're underage, you can only I think you can only do 4 hours.
Even with consent?
I don't know, or if you would need like a studio teacher on set.
Yeah.
And I think in order to avoid a lot of that shit, they just go with actors who are older. And I don't know about like if you need consent or like adult, your parental consent.
Yeah.
To shoot more than that. I'd have to look up those laws. You're right about Rana. Like, yeah, she's supposed to be 17. Like, yeah, she's living on her own. Struggling for rent. Yeah, that doesn't really make sense. But like I said, was she really 17, or is she just trying to talk her way out of that situation with Burke?
Being facetious or something?
Yeah, I'm saying like, oh yeah, I'm underage. I shouldn't be drinking this beer.
Oh yeah, well for that, I'm pretty sure that was because she thought like the whole place was bugged, and she was saying that for them to force her to like.
Yeah, she's trying to talk her way out.
Yeah, they are young though, either way, but
yeah.
17.
But you don't think she's really 17.
No.
She's just putting on that show.
No, I think that was a last ditch effort to get out of that room.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah, I think you're probably right about that. Okay, here's my quote. We already talked about like Roger Ebert giving it a good. Leonard Maltin hated it, called it a junior Pulp Fiction.
I saw that too. Wow.
But Leonard Maltin's always someone where I think he's not as good as he thinks he is.
Pulp Fiction for puppies. I saw that
one. For the film's 15th anniversary, Joe Reed of The Atlantic. Joe Reed's a frequent guest on Blank Check. So I know. When I saw that name, I was like, oh yeah, I know that guy. He noted that the film wasn't a wild success because at the time of its release, it was viewed as a knockoff of other 90s films, but it's since endured as a cult classic. He writes, the split narrative style, complete with character title cards separating the film into thirds, put Go at the top of the list when it came to late 90s Tarantino-influenced cinema. And then there was director Doug Liman, red hot off the cult success of Swingers, trading neo-swing culture for X and raves. Both films give a healthy chunk of attention to Vegas, though. The thing about Go that sets it apart, however, is that it's completely fantastic, energetic and quotable and stylish, and neither overly enamored with nor overly dismissive of the culture it's inhabiting. So, that's a pretty good review.
Yes.
There was like, as you know, there wasn't a lot of research on it. Yes, I see the Coke nail, by the way.
So I wasn't tripping. That's real.
No, yeah, it's got like painted black or like dark green or something. That's the hand he's holding the phone with. Just the way he looks at Claire and he's like, I don't know, maybe. And then when you're on the other end of the phone, Simon asks if he's going to fuck her.
Yeah.
But that's like that. That's that creepy exchange where he's like, I don't know, maybe. And then immediately after he asks if she wants to get laid for Christmas. So yeah, there wasn't a lot of research for this film, which sometimes is refreshing because I don't have to spend days and days and days just like buried in online stuff or buried in books. But because there wasn't a lot of research, I didn't have a lot of reviews to pull from.
Mm-hmm.
And I just saw that not even the Leonard Maltin review, just what he referred to it as. And then I saw the Ebert review and this review by Joe Reed on the 15th anniversary. So he's right. It's Tarantino influenced, but it's one of the best. And like I said, we could come up with a list of really shitty Tarantino knockoffs from that 5 or 6 year period post Pulp Fiction.
Everybody out there, seek it out if like you haven't seen it. Like it seems like a lot of people still haven't. Drop a couple bucks. I think digitally, if you're into buying movies digitally, it's like $11.99, $12.99. I think. So. Yeah, seek this out wherever you can. It's worth it.
It's a really funny movie. It's a good ride,
and it's very fast. It's not it's not a big commitment.
No, it was longer than I remembered. Not in a bad way, but I could have sworn it was like around 90 minutes. But it's actually. About 10 minutes longer than it. But yeah, it moves. It's very propulsive.
And it's just a great trip back like to the late 90s as well.
You get to see a lot of these actors before they really blew up. There's a good, like I said, there's a pretty decent soundtrack. There's a good No Doubt tune on it.
Yeah, they close with it, right?
Yeah, but it pops up.
And when they're in the back, they're in the back of the fucking. When they're taking they're on their break in the grocery store in the back.
Yeah.
Too.
I was gonna say because I remember hearing it early on in the film, and then yes, they close out the show and they close out the film with it. It's not on the official soundtrack, but it's got that great Massive Attack tune, Angel, which is what's playing on the stereo in Oliphant's apartment when he turns the volume up really loud.
What a masterful scene that is. So good.
It's got a lot of tension. Because like after he turns it up, he moves really aggressively towards her to whisper in her ear.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good movie. It's always been one that I've enjoyed. I've watched 20 times. Always laugh.
I would never fuck you like that. How would you fuck me?
I like Rhonda's little what do you call those berries? I guess just holly. I guess it's just holly, with the green leaves and the red berries.
Oh yeah, that's what they're called.
I guess I just looked it up, and it says, "Oh yeah, like holly." I like her crown. She gets the crown after they have the contest to see who could hold it in the longest. When they're smoking the joint.
Yes.
And after Claire loses, Rhonda's like, crown me, and then she puts the holly crown on her.
Oh yeah, and their car is all decked out in Christmas decoration inside.
When they're at the rave, there's like the big giant Santa Claus with like the green arms. So yeah, check it out if you haven't seen it.
Also, happy holidays, everybody.
Happy holidays, absolutely. I was so busy yesterday, I didn't get to celebrate the winter solstice. I was kind of bummed about that. That's always been a special day.
Yes.
That's a day that you and I have recorded a podcast on from time to time for our Christmas episode.
Yes.
So I should try to do something for the winter solstice. I just feel bad I couldn't celebrate on the actual day. Yes, happy holidays. This is our Christmas episode, so Merry Christmas to those who celebrates. As of this recording, it's the fifth night of Hanukkah? Yeah, today's 22nd. It's the fifth night of Hanukkah. So by the time this episode airs, I believe it's the seventh night. So I just want to say, it's the holiday season. You're probably doing the gift thing. Always a good thing to consider around the holidays. Drop a couple bucks to like a charity or something. A charity of your choice. One that you believe in. One that maybe helps some people. Absolutely. You don't have to go crazy. You don't have to drop some 10 grand or something. Give $20, give $50, give $100. Whatever you might be able to afford. But next week we're definitely going to do the year end / best of. It kind of morphed over the last few weird years.
Yes.
From a best of to more of a year end and what were we watching and what worked and what didn't.
It's going to be a lot of fun. And I can't wait, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. Always have a good time doing the year end shows because we get to talk a lot about some different movies. And we'll do a good year end show, and I'm looking forward to having Ryan on.
But yeah, man. Again, Merry Christmas. Thank you for making time for the show and for me.
Thank you for accommodating my ever busy schedule sometimes. I feel bad for always kind of having you have to try to work around it.
No worries, man. That's what friends are for. And
but we usually do pretty good about catching you on your day off too.
Yeah, we work it out. So trust me, man.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
You're one of the easy ones to lock down.
Well, thank you, because I feel bad when I'm like, yeah, we could probably do it around this time or around this time. Actually, it's going to be a little bit later. I don't work tomorrow, as you know, so that's why I was kind of like, if we do a later start, it's not going to really put me out.
Okay, cool. All right, man. So, looks like we're going to get out of here. This is Wesley Swanson and Chris Pawlak signing off, saying good fight and good night.
And happy holidays.
Hey, Rana. How are sales?
Todd, I can explain.
I'm not going to ask you to. It's not like I'm in like a highly ethical industry, but goddamn, Rana, you fucked me over 20 lousy hits.
It's not what it looks like, okay? I mean, it sort of is actually, but it's complicated.
Not really.
I know I fucked up, okay? Please. I can make it up to you.
I'm the last fucking person you should be expecting a favor from.
I have the money. I have more than I owe you.
So now you're an entrepreneur.